Hey friends. So it's Jenny. Hi. I wanted to offer a gentle yoga class. I'm not sure how long it'll be. It won't be the full hour, but I wanted just to offer you a few poses for gentle yoga to do at home. If you don't feel like you can join me for my regularly scheduled online classes, I currently don't offer a gentle class, but a lot of people have been asking for a gentle class, so I wanted to offer that. So you'll need some sort of blanket, right? So this is just a classic yoga blanket. You don't have to have a blanket. It can be a towel or two towels. If you have blocks, that's great. If you don't, you can use books or you can just use building up your blankets or towels. So blocks are a great way to find height in your seat, right? And that way your hip flexors can relax a little bit. And if you don't have to sit like this either, you can sit like this. The other really cool thing about a block is that you can take it in between your ankles, and you can even take two blocks in between your ankles. And then you can sit your sits bones right there. And then you're in hero's pose. And so there's no stress to your knees, and the tops of your feet are on the mat. So blocks are great. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. You can use books, right? So you can use thick books, and you can place a towel or blanket over the block, rather the book, just so that it's a little bit more padded. And the other thing you'll want, perhaps, is some sort of belt or strap. This is just a simple short yoga strap. If you have a long belt at home, that'd be great. If you have a yoga strap at home, that's great. If you have a soft belt, that's even better. So that would be another option to have for props. So again, it doesn't have to be a blanket. It can be a couple of towels. It doesn't have to be a yoga strap. It can be a soft belt or even a firm belt. It's fine. Blocks can be replaced with books, right? So for that added height in your seat. So let's go ahead and we'll start in a seat. And so two options. One would be to start finding a lift in your seat with either a block or two blocks or a book, maybe draping the towel over the block or the book. So one option would be to find Sukhasana. Sukhasana is cross-legged seat, right? So it's translated as comfortable pose, which I think is funny because it's not always comfortable for everybody, right? Sitting like this is like crisscross applesauce, like back in kindergarten, which isn't necessarily comfortable for everybody. So that's why the lift in the seat can be helpful, because then it helps your pelvis kind of have the support it needs to have your spine stay straight up. So frequently what will happen is when we sit like this as adults, maybe our knees are way up and maybe we slouch back because we can't find that lift, right, in our seat because we don't have that flexibility yet. Our hamstrings might be tight, our psoas muscles, our hip flexors might be tight. That's why the block or book to elevate us can be really, really helpful. So I want to give you that option to sit in Sukhasana to start, or hero's pose, which we just did. And that is where you're on your knees, and then the block or the book is in between your sits bones and you're seated this way. So again, the intention here is to find a nice tall spine. So whatever that takes in terms of how much lift you need, take that. And maybe just one book underneath you isn't enough, right? So maybe take another book or block underneath you for a little added height. Good. So now we're up really high. And then our hip flexors can relax. Our knees aren't bearing any weight, and the tops of our feet are not pressing down into the floor. So again, hero's pose is a great option to find a seat, or Sukhasana, which is the cross-legged. Yeah. So either way, find your way there. We'll all meet there. And then once you do, take a nice deep inhale breath, reach your arms up overhead. And then exhale, bring your hands into your heart and tuck your chin. Let your shoulders relax and find a little stretch in the back of your neck. And then do that two more times. Inhale, float your arms out and up. Inflate into your breath, big full breath. And then exhale, hands come into your heart and tuck your chin. Lower your shoulders down and away from your ears. And then again, inhale, arms reach out and up. And exhale, hands come to your heart. And then open your eyes, look up. Take your hands to your thighs or your knees. So again, you can be seated in those two different ways, right? And then we're working seated cow and cat stretches. So we're gonna peel our shoulders back, lift our chest and push our chest forward. And then exhale, curl, shrug your shoulders, roll them back and hug your belly in. So do this with your breath. Inhale, seated cow stretch. Exhale, curl in, seated cat stretch. So you keep going. I'm just going to turn around so I can show you what it looks like from the side. So we're here on the inhale, and exhale, hug your belly in and curl. So kind of pull your belly in and curl into your upper spine. Then inhale, push your belly and heart forward, and then exhale, tuck and hug in. And this is what it looks like from the side. If you're seated in your cross-legged, you'll be here, and then you'll be here. So the key here is your breath. So you want to match the movement with your breath. So let your breath lead that inhale, opening you up for cow stretch, and the exhale, snugging in for cat stretch, right? Inhale, cow, and exhale, cat stretch. And do that a few more times, and it's okay if you don't come as far as me. I have a lot of flexibility in my hips, so you might just be right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. So we want to exaggerate the opening here in the chest, and then that space in the back, right, in between your shoulder blades, right? And your exhale breath, your belly draws in, and your inhale breath, your belly expands. Good. So do one more round, and then we'll meet back at center. And this next round, we'll take the left hand out to the left and bring your right arm up overhead. Glide your left arm out and away, tuck your elbow in towards your side body, and then find a nice long stretch here on the right side of your body. So your head could stay right where it is. You could also look down towards your left hand and feel to release your neck a little bit here. So once again, tuning into your breath. Feed your breath into the right side of your body from the hip all the way through your armpit. Feel your right ribs expand and then come back together and then expand and come back together. Inhale, reaching up overhead. Good, and then hold this shape for a moment. If your shoulders feel tight, walk your arms wider apart. Good, and then notice if you're leaning forward, could you pull your arms back a little and then bring your spine in line? So your crown and your tailbone are all lined up here. And then exhale your right hand down, tuck your elbow in a little, and then glide your left arm up over on top. You might walk your right hand a little farther away for your side bend. So let's just glide that right shoulder away from our ear. Left arm reaches up and overhead. And you don't want your hip to come with you, right? So you want to stay anchored in your seat. And again, you might look down towards the floor to release that left side of your neck, and then breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose. And you might be here, right? Maybe you're here where your elbow is bent because this is too much for your shoulder, right? So you adjust as needed. It does not have to look like my pose at all. This is your practice. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And again, shoulders are tight, your arms are wider apart, yeah, at a diagonal. If you can connect your palms, connect your palms. Take an inhale, look up. And then exhale, we'll all bring our hands back to our heart, tuck our chin. Good. Go ahead and look up. And then release your hands apart from each other. We're coming into our lying on our back. So switch your body around to come and lay on your back for just a moment. And I would take it slow, first elbows, and then lower all the way down. And so to lengthen out here in your spine, I like to pick up my tailbone, tuck it under, and then relay it down. And then I've got a little bit more length in my low back. And then I do this with my elbows. I push up and I lift up and back so that I have a little more length in my upper back now, right? So we're coming in with all the length that we can in our spine. We're gonna keep our feet hip distance apart. And then let's walk our arms out into a cactus shape. So it's like a goalpost on the floor. Cross your left ankle over your right knee, left ankle over right knee. Good. And then we want to flex our left foot just a little bit to protect our left knee. Nice. And then just begin to sway slowly here from side to side. And notice your core engagement, which stops you from coming all the way over, right? Stay with that. Go to that edge and come back. So we're inhaling and then exhale over to the side. Inhale to center, exhale to the other side. Good. You got it. Come back to center and then take your arms and reach for your right leg. So you might reach underneath your right leg. You might reach the shin, or you might take your handy belt and wrap your belt behind your leg and bring your leg in this way. So we're interested in what's happening in the outer left hip. We're getting a stretch there in the glute. So maybe you have your strap, maybe you have your hand pulling your right knee in towards your belly or your chest. It won't come anywhere near there, but that's the direction it's headed. Stay tuned into your breath. Soften your shoulders here. So even though there's some effort in your hands and arms, drawing your leg in towards your body, your shoulders can stay relaxed here. So if you do have the strap, then you want to maybe rest your elbows on the mat. Sorry about that clinking sound. And then exhale, lower your right foot down. Let's switch sides, come back to cactus arms. So cactus arms are great to help open up your chest. It's like a natural opening and stretch for your upper chest. So now we've crossed the right ankle over the left knee. We're flexing the right foot a little. And then we're taking that slow sway on the exhale over to one side. Bring your knees back to center on the inhale. Exhale, slow shift of your knees to the other side. And then inhale, back to center. And rocking back and forth. So doing this as many times as you did on the other side. So you can feel you're rocking back and forth, kind of feeling a massage for your sacrum. So your glutes are relaxed here, right? Your core engages just before you shift and almost land, and then you come back to center. Good, nice and easeful. And then again, when you're ready, on the exhale breath, connect with your core and lift your left leg up. So again, you might take behind the leg. You might take it on top of your shin for this. Your choice, right? So what can you reach? Good, and then what's going on here in the right hip? Getting a stretch in the glute. This is a great low back release as well. Stay tuned into your breath. Relax your forehead and your jaw. Relax your shoulders. So while your right foot is slightly flexed, you can release your left and kind of circle around in your ankle if you'd like. Notice if your chin is shifted way up towards the ceiling, could you tuck it in so that you get a little length in the back of your neck? And the other option would be to find a little, maybe just a little bit of lift in your head so that you could find a tuck in your chin if it's difficult. What you want is just keep the length in your neck, the back of your neck. Take another breath here. And then slowly begin to exhale your left foot down. And then your right foot meets. And let's take our feet hip distance apart. And then let's find robot arms here. So the backs of your arms and elbows are on the mat. And then your hands are kind of just reaching up towards the ceiling. But you've got all this support of the backs of your arms and elbows underneath you so that you can push the floor away and rise up. So as you rise up with length in your spine, as if you're trying to pull your tailbone in this direction, right? Towards your knees. And then press the backs of your arms in to open up your chest a little more and find a little bit more lift. Your glutes are engaged, your core is engaged. Good. Breathe in and breathe out. If you're struggling to find breath here because your chin is so constricted into your chest, release your chin a little. Lift it up a little. Give yourself a little more space between your chest and your chin. Stay tuned into your breath here. Press evenly in through your feet. Notice if some toes want to lift up or grip. Just relax your toes. Use the balls of your feet and your heels to help push you up. And then slowly exhale down from your upper spine, mid back, low back. So notice that core engagement. Low back touches first, and then release your tailbone down. Good. Walk your feet to the outer edges of your mat. Arms come back to the cactus shape. So it's this shape on the floor. And then begin to rock your knees from side to side. This is windshield wipering knees. So this is great for low back release. It's a nice massage for your glutes. So during this pandemic time, we are certainly much more sedentary than normal. So this is a great release for the low back and the glutes if you've been doing a lot of sitting, right? And then we're going to take this and pop up onto our elbows and continue this movement side to side. So you might walk your feet wider now, if that feels right for you. So you're kind of letting your knees flop to one side and then come back to center and flop to the other side. Good, and then lower yourself back down. Roll on over to one side. So this is fetal position. So hold here in fetal position for a brief pause, breathe. And then as you exhale, push yourself up using your hands for support, right? So I realized that my head was cut off a little bit there, so I'll meet you back in fetal position. So I'm on my left side, so I'm gonna use my right hand to help push me up using my core, and then my left hand becomes free and I can push myself all the way up. Yep, good. And then we're gonna meet in tabletop. So here's a great opportunity to use your towel or your blanket underneath your knees. So make sure it's nice and smooth so there's not a lot of bumps in there. And then we're stacking our knees just underneath our hips, and our wrists are stacked underneath our shoulders. So this is cow and cat. So similar to what we did when we were seated, we're inhaling, lifting through our chest, ballooning into our belly with breath, and then exhale, tuck your tailbone on your chin and hug your belly up, push the floor away from you. And then keep going. Inhale for cow, exhale for cat. Inhale for cow, exhale for cat, and so on. Keep going. Make sure that your hands are placed so that your palms are flat and there's lots of space in between your fingers. So flexion and extension in our spine. And then when you're ready on your next exhale breath, we're shifting the hips back and finding child's pose. So you might not come down this far, and that's okay. You might want to take your book under your forehead for more support there. Another option would be to take your other towel or blanket and place it on your calves so that when you sink back, you have more of a landing place, right? So this is particularly helpful if your hips don't land on your heels. And then your block or book can be here to support your head, right? Your arms are outstretched and away from you. Tune back into your breath here. So when your knees are closer together, in child's pose, you're getting more of a stretch in the low back. When your knees are wider apart, I'm gonna face you. So my big toe mounds are touching, my knees are wide apart. So when my knees are wide apart, it's more of a stretch in the hips, right? So just decide what feels right for you, what feels best for you, and maybe it's somewhere in between. And then their breath is your anchor. You come back to your breath. Anytime you get distracted, your mind begins to wander, as our minds do. Walk yourself back up. Yeah, bring your knees a little closer together. Come back to tabletop, and we'll all meet in tabletop. So again, padding underneath your knees is super helpful, right? I'm just not gonna fiddle with the blanket one more time. And then take your left leg back behind you and press through your left heel. So we wanna feel a stretch through the Achilles tendon, the calf. And then you might rock forward and back and forward and back. So again, your hands, lots of surface area we wanna cover with our hands here. So spread out in between your fingers, all 10 fingers on the mat. Palms are flat. Good, and then come to neutral. Pick up your head so it's in line with your spine. Engage your core and lift your left leg up off the floor. If you want to challenge yourself by taking your right arm out and away for bird dog, do that, but keep your hips square. So the tops of your hip bones are like two car headlights pointing down towards the floor. Breathe in and breathe out. If your right hand was lifted, lower your right hand down. Good, and then go ahead and bring your knee back into center. Second side, we'll take the right leg, stretch it back behind us, press through your heel. And then again, maybe you find that rocking movement. Stabilize your core, switch on your right glute, and then pick up your leg. So your glute is engaged, your leg is engaged, your hip bones are pointing down towards the floor like two car headlights. Maybe the left arm is reaching out in a way. Push into the floor with your right hand so that you're lifting out of your right shoulder. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And again, that left of your left arm is totally optional. On your exhale, lower your hand, lower your knee. Good. Bring your knees together now. Shift back any amount, and maybe you take your padding with you again, right? But this time we're gonna walk over to the left. So we'll find a little side body stretch to the left, and you might even scoot your hips just the teeniest bit to the right to feel just a little bit more of a stretch in the outer hip there. Good, and then come to center. Same thing on the other side. Take a centering breath first, and then walk over to the right as you gently just very subtly shift your hips to the left. Side body stretch here on the left, and a little maybe stretch in the left glutes. Good, and then come on back to center. Peel yourself up and take away your prop if you have it. Walk your knees away from you, and then take a slow push up down. And it's okay if you can't, right? You could also come down onto your elbows first and then lower all the way onto belly. So we're headed onto our belly here. Pick up your leg, pull it back behind you. Pick up your leg, pull it back behind you. And then we're coming into a Sphinx pose. So your elbows, I don't know if you can see, but my elbows are stacked right underneath my shoulders. So I'm gonna come and turn in a different direction so you can see. So elbows stacked right underneath the shoulders. And it's, imagine you're trying to pull your chest forward through your arms, right? So we're not here, we're not curling our heads of our arm bones in, rather we're peeling them back behind us and then gliding shoulder blades down back. Anchor your pubic bone here and then press into the tops of your feet. So it's a super active pose. If you can pick your belly up off the floor, do. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Next breath out, we're gonna lower all the way down and make a little pad with your hands. Rest your forehead. This is crocodile pose. So now relax your shoulders and feel your breath here. Feel your breath, how your belly expands into the floor beneath you. See if you can feel your breath in your low back. So when you take an inhale breath, see if you can feel it expanding in your waist and your low back. And then let your breath out. Take another breath and see if you can feel your breath in your side ribs, creating just a little bit more space there in between the ribs with our breath. So our breath can actually stretch us out as well, not just the physical movement of our body, but just our breath alone can create a little more space in our body and make us feel like we're also getting a stretch. So the intercostal muscles are expanding on inhale and contracting on exhale. You got it. And then bring your awareness to your upper back and see if you can feel your breath first in your chest and then expanding into your upper back. And it's okay if you can't feel any of this, right? We're just kind of trying to begin to direct our awareness to our breath and where it is in our body and how it can help us with our yoga practice. So I'm going to close class here for this round, and we'll come back for another several rounds of poses in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for joining class this morning or afternoon, whatever time you're doing it. To come out of Sphinx pose, I just want to offer up a little bit of support here. Tuck your toes and then switch on your low belly so that your bottom picks up a little bit, right? So now you're protecting your low back. And then push yourself up to tabletop, right? Walk your knees a little closer. And then maybe you find one more child's pose to release your low back, right? Big breath in, big breath out. Good. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time. Okay.